Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of How to Live a Confident and Calm Life. I am Susan Axelrod, the Confidence Coach, and I'm here with my dear friend Nadine Searle, your Calmer Self Cancer Coach. Hello, Nadine. Good to see you.
Hello, Susan. It's great to see you too.
Well, Nadine, today we're coming to people at the end of a calendar year. And we have an interesting topic of conversation today, as most of ours are. I must say, I watch our episodes over and over and I share them with clients and friends. Today, we're going to revisit a topic that we talked about exactly 1 year ago, and that is what a difference a year can make. What a difference a year can make if you live in conscious awareness of time passing. In our preparation for this conversation, you said to me that you saw one of my coaching tools and that it really spoke to you. And you wondered if we could use that as a bit of a guide or a thematic element. And I said, goody, because I love this tool. And the title of that tool is this: Time is Passing Anyway. And the basis of it is time is passing anyway. What if you got to the thing that you wanted to do? And to tell you the truth, Nadine, one of the areas of unconfidence, low confidence, and also probably low calm, higher anxiety is all the things that I wish I had done and that I never got to. So that is something that my own confidence has really skyrocketed as I actually got to the things that I desperately wanted or that I really needed in my life. So tell me, how was it that this particular tool or comment affected you?
Well, it's so interesting what you're saying. It's a brilliant tool, and I'm so glad that I've got access to a lot of your tools and love you share it all with us. But this has really spoken to me because I knew that we were going to do this podcast. I have, like we say, re-listened to last year's one to see where I was then, and it's really, I love the fact that this is so documented and we can go back and look and go, oh, that's where I was this time last year. That's how I felt. That's what was going on, and reflect and to look at, compare how I am this year. And I've got to be honest with you, I did start off going, oh, I'm really still quite I haven't reached my goals. I'm still really tired and all that kind of thing. So things are still similar. But then to look at, because you've broken this like you do with everything, down into simple steps to actually go, what have I done? And then to go, I've done more than I thought I've done. That's the key, isn't it? So I love that you give us that opportunity. And like you say, the title of this journaling page, if you like, is Time is Passing Anyway. Ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? And that was the key for me. What am I doing with my time? So I reflected back, what did I do with the year? And looking at it and going through the points that you do, which we can come to, which is lovely to be able to do that. To actually go, okay, yeah, I started off going, yeah, I haven't got my fitness goals, my weight goals, my this, that, and the other business goals, whatever. I haven't reached those, but actually what I've been doing with my time has been very valuable. It is bringing me forward. It is moving me forward. And recognizing that in the small little steps is so, so important because, as I say, if I just go, right, am I at the weight I want? Am I at the fitness I want? Am I where I want to be? No, I'm not. Exactly the same as I was moaning about last year. But there are lots of things that I have done. And like we say all the time, we both say it, don't we? To celebrate the wins and to really recognize them and value them. And to know that, yes, I haven't reached those maybe visual outside goals, but inside I have been doing massive work and it is paying off and I can see that value. So that's what I really wanted to share today because it's
Oh my
not
gosh,
external.
this is
There's
so good.
not
So
there.
I wrote down what I haven't done, I
Mm,
feel
mm,
that, versus what I have done.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
And this is such an important frame. It's such an important frame for us to take time. I
Mm,
don't know if you know, I don't think I voice noted you as we do, that 2 weeks ago, 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, I did an exercise that I always do at this time of year, which is I went through my calendar this past year, day by day. Now, I started 1 year ago. And that's how I said to you, hey, we did that podcast on this
yeah,
conversation on
yeah,
this day. And you said, why don't we do an update? Why don't we
yeah,
come
yeah.
and talk about that? But I went through my calendar. I looked at every client visit. I looked at my speaking, my writing, the producing, whatever, all the things that I did, my podcasts,
Mm,
because I have them all, the interviews scheduled and all of that. And yeah, it really is a good measure of this thing that
yeah,
well, I didn't do, for example, fitness or exercise might be one of the things. I myself have lapsed. Honestly, big reveal, I have not stepped foot in a gym in 6 months
mm,
this year, even though I'm very,
yeah,
active and fit, and I was working out for years. I don't know what happened. But instead of punishing myself about it, I just changed my mindset and said, gosh,
yeah.
I guess going to a gym right now is not the thing. Otherwise, what? I would be.
That's the thing, isn't it? To actually give yourself that permission, whatever we say, be kind and gentle with ourselves all the time, don't we? That is being exactly that way. Well, I didn't. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. Other things come. I looked back at last year, the calendar project took over what I was doing with my time. That was an opportunity that I don't regret. Like you said earlier, don't regret things that you do, regret things that you haven't done. And I'm totally the same. I can be sad and regretful about things that maybe I didn't do, missed opportunities, that kind of thing. So I can be very proud of myself that I didn't miss the opportunity to do the calendar for 2025. It took up a lot of my year. But actually, that's fine, and actually, that was important and valuable to me. It gave me so much. And I find looking back at this year, 2025, as we're going into 2026 now, I actually had opportunities that came up that I wasn't expecting that I embraced. And
Yeah.
that took my time, my energy, my effort away, and my focus. So that's okay. And again, just to go, I'm not being sort of cross with myself about that. I'm being proud of myself about that. So different mindset. That's the key, isn't it?
It's
Different
a
mindset.
transformed mindset. It's
Yay!
exactly the space that I work. And for full disclosure, we already had a long conversation, in the green room, as we say, before we started this podcast conversation. And we were talking about, how good are we with where we are? How
Mm,
good am I with where I am? If I'm good with it, then that's fantastic. If there's more I want to do, then time is passing anyway. Time is passing anyway. And
yeah.
that's really the thing. I even dared to mention to you before a book, which I've spoken to you about before, but I know that if you produce a book, it's going to be in exactly the right time. That's what we're talking about here. It's a transformed mindset, not, oh, I didn't do it. I wish I had done it. Why didn't I do it? And especially this exercise that we're talking about today shows you in real time what you have accomplished.
Yeah.
Something else you said just now was the calendar opportunity, where I believe you were Miss July, right?
I will. I
In
will.
a calendar that an amazing woman put together to help and support and raise money for breast cancer,
Yeah.
was presented to you. At that time, you sort of went like, what are you talking about? And then, as you just shared with us, you said yes.
Yes.
And what happened as a result of that was an experience that was that was amazing, that went on far longer and so much deeper than you ever imagined, and led to other opportunities. And
Yeah.
that part is very important, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah, the opportunities for, for the way my business is going forward and all kinds of things that I wasn't expecting, but also the opportunity for my own personal growth, because it was a personal challenge, and I didn't necessarily, well, I don't know whether I asked for it or not. The universe provided it for me, and it personally did me so much good. So looking at that, okay, it wasn't, as I say, the goals that I maybe had set aside for myself. They were different goals that I achieved, challenges that I accepted and won over. And I feel that that is, again, I'm sort of letting go of that, maybe the control of going, well, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to get, and I've got to stick to it, because things come in and things get in the way, but they can be better sometimes, can't they? And maybe it's not about what I think I need to achieve by the end of a year, it's what actually happens in reality. And going back to that, time is passing anyway. Ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? And that can be a question that you can ask yourself very regularly, I think almost daily, maybe even more than daily, to go, let's just make sure that I'm using this moment in time now for my best possible outcome. And that is something that it's mindful in its very essence, isn't it? Being in the now and remembering to just check in and go, okay, it's no good looking at my future goals and going, I want to be there and everything, and it's a bit unattainable maybe or unrealistic, but actually going, what am I doing now? Coming back to what you talk about a lot as well, my talking to my future self. What am I doing now to make my future self happy, better, whatever, however you want to look at it? And just reminding myself that actually, one little thing I can do now, and it can be very, very small, will actually help the future. And it might not be what I've planned. I will change my plans all the time. I definitely do that. This is what I was going to do today, but actually I ended up doing this. And I can get quite angry with myself about my distraction or whatever. But actually, when I reflect, it serves me quite well to be a little bit like that, and to be, like you say, open and say yes to things that I haven't planned. So that is something that I am embracing, like you say, a different mindset. Um, I've got to be honest with you, what I'm doing as well, although I go, oh, say yes to everything, I don't. I'm learning more to say no, because I need to. That's looking after me. The boundaries that I need to put in place, because I still am, I'm still really, really tired. Every bit of me hurts, I've still got the neuropathy in my feet, I've still got lymphedema. So these long-term side effects of my cancer treatment are still there. They're still annoying me. They're still weighing me down, if you like. But it's how I manage it and how I look, what can I do? One of your points in this lovely journaling tool is actually walking. Did I walk a little bit today? Look at it. I do a doggy walk every day, twice a day, because that's what I do. So be proud. Go, well, I did walk. I did do something. That is something, again, to recognize and go, I'm doing that. If I don't get any other stuff in, so be it. But that's the reality, isn't it?
One of the things about this exercise, speaking of the dog walks that you're doing, that I'm raising the consciousness about, is this. If I walk, just 1 mile with the dogs, a half mile out into the woods in your case, or around the
Yeah.
block for me, or whatever, a half mile out, a half mile back, that may sound like a lot to people, but for the two of us, that's not very much. If I walk just a half mile out, a half mile back, and I do that twice a day, get the dogs out, that's 2 miles a day. That's 14 miles a week. That's 14 versus 20, 20 is 54 miles a month. And that's 600 miles a year, if I did that math correctly. And
It's looking at it, isn't it? Yeah.
my goal is about 100 miles a month. So I do, my goal is a 5K a day. That's 3.1 miles a day. A lot of days I fail. A lot of days I don't get there. Some days I do a lot more. But at the end of a year, my little LG health app on my phone logs my steps. when, usually I have it with me. And basically at this point, I have averaged 3.1 miles a day for several years now. That doesn't mean I did it every day. I averaged that over a 12-month period.
Yeah.
For me, walking has gotten me out in nature. It's gotten me healthier, et cetera, and so on. And it's definitely changed my life, but it
Yeah.
didn't start with walking 100 miles a month.
No, exactly. And this is what I think as well. When I go, okay, I'm doing my doggy walking, but I'm not necessarily doing much more. I haven't progressed with my fitness and my routine. Let's put it that way. I'm still doing it, but I haven't got any fitter, stronger, whatever. I'm not feeling that, but I'm still doing it. So that's going. But the walking, like you say, it gives you so much more. So recognizing that as well. It's so good for my mental health. It's so good for, I'm still not as sociable as I want to be, but I'm getting a bit of sociability, seeing people in the woods and everything, and that is nice. And I still feel that what it does. I mean, I was walking. I think it was Christmas Day, actually. Again, we don't like to say times on this, but this is an end of the year thing, and I'm sure it was Christmas Day or Boxing Day, the day after. And the weather was lovely, and it wasn't so slippy in the woods because it's drying up a little bit. And I was just so grateful for those little things, because it hurts when it's slippy because my bones hurt and everything. So when it's not, I can celebrate it, and I could walk a bit faster. And I was really enjoying. I was cold when I started, but I warmed up so I could feel the cardio going. And this is doing me so much good. And my skin was glowing a bit more. And I was in the moment going, I'm really enjoying this. This is doing me so much good in so many ways. So mentally, massively good. So it's recognizing that rather than just going, I haven't walked as far as I wanted, as fast as all those kind of things. Being really, and stopping every now and again and looking at a tree and looking at the things. There's snowdrops coming out already, and noticing those little things. And I do that. I don't always walk fast. I'm not trying to set a time or beat my own target or whatever. I'm just in the moment, enjoying it, and seeing I've only got one dog now, seeing my dog who's having the best time running around and doing what he does in the woods. He's not going, how many steps have I done? He's just enjoying himself.
He is not. What's interesting about this is being a cancer survivor, if you call yourself that, having been on an intense, extreme cancer journey, just the idea, and people can go back and watch our conversations about that. Just the idea that on Boxing Day, you could be walking in the woods, you could feel good, you could feel your body warming up, feel the glow coming, be present in the moment with
Yeah.
nature and the dog and everything. This, how is that not being fitter and stronger? See what we do to
Yeah.
ourselves, right?
Yes, exactly. And it is, isn't it? It's recognizing it. Yes, I haven't done what I was thinking I was going to do, but I am. And actually just taking that moment to go, I'm still here. I'm alive. I didn't know that I would be. Isn't it wonderful? This is my world. Aren't I lucky? All of those things. I'm lucky. I've got the woods out the back of me. I've got my lovely dog. I'm sad that I've lost the other one, but I've still got one.
We did a
And
conversation about that too.
we did. Yeah, we've talked about it all, haven't we? But also to go, I'm really, really impressed with my body because it still works. It still works. Whereas at one point in time, it wasn't working. It wasn't
Right.
working at all. My cells weren't refreshing. Everything was getting, with the chemotherapy, and everything was getting killed off all the time. And actually to go, no, my body is working. Like you say, that feeling of, I've gone from cold to warm. It's the simplest thing to go, my body works. Isn't it amazing? And I still am in awe of that, because I did have those moments when I did think my body isn't working, it's not functioning. And now, much as I would like it to function a lot better, it is actually doing it. So it's recognizing that and really, really feeling that, the joy of that moment, which is amazing. So yeah.
I want to invite people to pause for a moment and go play back if you weren't really tuned in to the last minute or so of this conversation. And then listen and ask yourself how you can apply for yourself what we're talking about here. It's so important, especially today. You know, I wrote down, I'm not as sociable as I want to be. And I thought to myself, my gosh, I thought to myself, I'm seeing you out networking, doing business things, going to a friend's party, you know, going to a fundraiser, you know, doing this and that and doing all these things. And I see it on social media. And I'm in awe of how sociable, in your word, you are being. And this is a goal of mine as well. And I have worked at it because I live in the skin of I'm in charge of me. And if I
Yeah.
want to be more social or more sociable or whatever, it's up to me. And I can
Yeah.
make that choice to do it.
And
And
it is, isn't it? Yeah, it's up to you. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
yeah, and that is in my ability. That's in my control. I'm in charge of me. And so, but here you are, you know, time is everything, but also things are relative, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
The way
yeah.
I see it is, you
Yeah,
know,
it's interesting you say that, Susan, because so many people say to me, "Oh, I see you all over the place and everything with social media. Oh, you're so busy and everything." And the real truth is, I'm not, because, like I say, I'm saying no to a lot. I'm really looking after myself better because I know I need the rest. I need to say no to things, and it does upset me because I used to be that yes, yes, yes to everything and burnt myself out repeatedly and all of that. And I can't do that anymore, but maybe I don't want to. There is that too. So I'm making those choices. So there is a bit of me going, oh, you know, I do look back at my life and think, oh, you know, I said yes to every party, I did everything. I'm not doing that anymore. So there's a little bit of sadness and loss and change and adjustment that I'm going through, but they are still my choices. And I do feel that. I feel that it's within my grasp to get more sociable and build up my stamina and strength so that I can do more. But at this moment in time, I'm not, because I'm really doing that rest and recovery more because I still need to. So that is the way. So like you say, it's my choice. So maybe when I said it, it came out a little bit, you know, poor me kind of thing. But
no,
it was,
no.
yeah, but
What,
it was
what,
that, yeah.
but what's interesting that I'm hearing is, first of all, one thing I thought of, you know, was we're not as young as we used to be. You know, we're not as
No,
young as we
no,
used to be. So we're in a different stage of life. I'm doing a lot of work with clients and myself on stages of life and phases of life and how it all goes. But also, when you say, I'm not as sociable as I want to be. I used to say yes to a lot of things, and I'm saying no. I know I'm consciously in rest and recovery from my cancer journey. Then I'm wondering if it's sort of connected. Well, I have to say no to that thing because I have cancer or I had cancer. I have to say
interesting.
no to
Yeah.
that thing because I'm in recovery. I have to say no to that thing because my body hurts. And that's different than I'm saying no from apathy or anxiety or depression or other reasons. Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, I really do. And it is, again, it's just reframing how you think about it. Because while I'm still going, oh, because of cancer, I can't do this, that is not the place that I want to be sitting in. I don't want to be feeling like that. So again, but I do. The reality is I do feel like that at the moment because of the long-term side effects of my treatment. I feel that way. But you're absolutely right. You know, partly it is also, my oncologist reminds me as well, it's not just that, it is also that you're 60 years old now, you know. He does kindly remind me. And actually, just as you were saying that, I thought, yes, I compare, you know, just this year was my 60th birthday. I celebrated, but in a different way than compared to my 40th birthday, perhaps, which was a great big party, up all night, up all week, I think, you know. Whereas I can't do that now. And I could be, oh, poor me because of the cancer, but it's not that. Partly there is a bit of that, but also it is because actually I'm choosing the way I celebrated this year was very different than what I did when I was 40 because I'm a different person. I didn't want to do that again, so it is recognizing that actually it's not because of what's been forced on me. It is also the choices that I'm making. And that is lovely to think of it that way, isn't it? Because then it gives you more joy, doesn't it? To go, well, I'm choosing something different. I'm doing it different now. Why would I want to do what I did when I was 40 or 20 or whatever? I used to have big birthday parties every year. I really, really, even if I was fit and healthy and everything was working perfectly, I don't think I would choose that anyway now. I'm choosing something different, but I'm still in that kind of transition period, I think, and maybe always will be, where I'm still not quite sure what I do want. So that unsettles me a little bit because, again, we have those choices, don't we?
We might have touched on that in our earlier conversation as well. Look, I
We did.
understand. And then, of course, my story is things happened to me in my life that were not necessarily in my choice. And I had to either shrink or face. And I did choose to face and cope and deal. And, I got counseling and therapy and various things. And basically, this is really about being in charge of myself. All of these things, even the time is passing anyway. And then you said that the commentary that resonated with you was ask yourself, what am I doing with my time? I too had to do rest and recovery, not from a cancer journey, but from a grief and trauma
Yeah,
journey.
yeah, real
And
change. Yeah.
somehow I transformed my mindset to say, this is what I'm doing now. And I got so okay with it that it served me at that
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I didn't really have any alternative. But that, that this is really, I love also that you said, first of all, this is such a great conversation. I hope people are really tuning in to exactly what we're talking about here. And I love that you said this question, ask myself, what am I doing with my time all the time? Because one of the things that happens with the onset of the internet, right? We're 30 years into that now. But now we have AI, we have all the kinds of things that we're doing, which take us away from that sociability with humans. But um, we get lost in the scrolling,
yeah, yeah.
and we can lose an hour of time in our day so easily.
So
I
easy,
have
so easy.
raised my consciousness so much about TV binging. Not that I don't do it, but when I do it, I know I'm doing it. Scrolling and, because I do a lot of work. And so for me, it's my work output, which is my legacy impact. But coming into, if we all do nothing else, this conversation is intentionally set at the end of the year. We're looking at the year that's gone by. My next thing is I've already done the big picture. My work is set. I've been planting a lot of seeds, so I already know some of the things. I have some family celebrations that are coming up in the year ahead. But my next exercise after going through my calendar from this year to come to consciousness about what I've been doing is to look and see what will next year look like for me.
Yeah, yeah,
Now, somebody else can be more loosey goosey and be like, oh, the year went by, it's New Year's, and the year will come. That's okay. That's completely fine. The only thing is, if we live in an unrequited way, if we have unrequited desires, deep secret desires that we always wanted or we wish we could have or whatever, that's where I come in. And that's
yeah,
where I come in as the confidence coach, where you come in as the calmer self coach. And that's really where this conversation comes in, doesn't it?
yeah. Yeah, totally. And that's where I look at it. Like I said earlier, I'm not as sociable as I want to be. Part of that is because I'm not happy with my weight. I'm not happy with the way my health is and everything. So working on that day by day will get me to where I want to be able to be a little bit more sociable, easier. And one of the points actually in your tool here is actually um, I don't think you put it as decluttering, but will I tidy up one little bit and that kind of thing? That's another area of my life that I'm working on very, very slowly. But again, that will help me with my goal of being a bit more sociable because will feel then I can invite people around a little bit more easily because I have got a little bit of messy areas in my house, who hasn't? And I never used to, and that has happened. So I want to get rid of that so that it will make my sociability easier. So it's all, again, it's that little step to get
When
to my
you're
life the way I want it to
when you're
be.
when you're saying sociability, is part of what you mean that you want to invite more people over to your place?
But there's a bit of that because that is something that has stopped for me. Whereas I used to do that much more readily, partly because COVID was shut down the world.
Right.
Before COVID, I had a knee operation, so I wasn't as active as I wanted to be. So that was the year before COVID, and then I had my cancer diagnosis. So I have let the sort of there's rooms in my house that are cluttered, let's put it that way. Whereas there used to be rooms that I could just say to people, come and stay. I can't do that at the moment. So I want to do that. So that little step by step of decluttering, tidying, that kind of thing, I'm working on. But realistically, it's going to take time because I can't do a big job. But I can do little bits. So again, what am I doing with my time today? Am I clearing one little bit? Can I do one little thing that makes me feel proud and happy and working towards a long-term goal? Putting it in that perspective really helps me. So the decluttering, if you like, however you want to look at it, a bit of tidying, a bit of sorting out,
Okay.
that serves me well. Yeah.
I have something to say about this, but do you know how our conversations are a little informal? I have to let my dog out. So give me 10 seconds.
Do that. Do that.
He was being very insistent. So,
Oh,
okay,
bless
look,
him.
I have a few things I would like to say about this. First of all, this is very interesting. I think that you are not alone in this.
Mm.
And so, one thing I want to say is we we sussed out something here. When earlier you said, I'm not as sociable as I want to be, later it's coming to me through our conversation. I think what you mean more apt is I want to have people over to my house again, maybe the way I used to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's more concise, the way to word it. Yes,
So there's a difference between I'm not as sociable as I want to be. That's a generalized statement where
definitely.
it's an I'm not statement. And that's okay. So what does sociable mean to you? And all the things.
Mm.
Okay, I did do a lot, but now we're saying one of those areas is I used to have people over. I used to say, oh, you can come and stay, this and that. And now I have some clutter in my rooms. I'm not comfortable. What I really want, it sounds like, is to have people come to my house.
Yes, which I have
Okay.
stopped doing. So you're
Which I've
absolutely right.
stopped doing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's one thing. First of all, just so you know, this is definitely, you are not alone in this. This is a big, huge thing. It's happening universally. And also at our later stages, we do it a little bit less because we did it so much, when we were younger.
I think that's the thing because I've questioned to myself, is that really what I want? Do I want my house full of people and they stay? Because I did have a time when I first moved to the seaside, which is where I live now, I had a lot of people come and stay and they wouldn't go home because they liked it so much. So I don't want that again. So again, my boundaries are stronger. I'm a bit more choosing what I want and who I want rather than have an open house as such. That's not what I want. So I do recognize that my wishes have changed. I don't want to go back to that, but I do want some of that. I do feel, and I know that I put that block in the way by actually going, I've got cluttered up rooms that I need to declutter to create that space. So that's a
Right. So
goal.
that's so first of all, I want to invite you to think about that you just said, okay? Because something happened, people came, they overstayed. You don't want to get into that. Your boundaries are stronger, but are they really, might I get into that again? Okay, so that's column one.
Mm.
Column two is something I talked to one of my dear friends about, which is when people come into your home, you're not going to be having strangers, maybe some strangers, but more likely some people or even bring a
Yeah,
friend. We'll have a
yeah.
book thing or a dinner thing or something. It's going to, not massive groups. When people come into your home, it's so much more. about how they feel when they walk into your home than how it looks. We've been told by television, by media
Yeah.
land, that it's about how, don't get me wrong, you walk into a beautiful house, you'd be like, oh, that's so beautiful. I wish it were mine. I wish I could have something this gorgeous. But there's so many miserably unhappy people in those beautiful homes. Not that there's also very happy people in those beautiful homes, but it's really been perpetrated on us. And if you think about what I'm about to say, I feel like we should do a specific other conversation on this, if you could make a note of this. And that is, there are so many people out there who are feeling lonely and alone. And they wish they could go to somebody else's home and have a meal, talk about a book, do a poetry night or game night, but they're sitting in their homes. And I'm keeping them from that experience because I'm worried about how my home looks. I'm not saying not to clean up your home, but I don't hear that that's what you're really talking about. You're at least sitting in one room that looks perfectly fine. You could just close the door to all the rooms that have clutter in it, clean up your main space and be like, hey, let's have a fondue night, or, let's play Monopoly. So we want to tune into this, what's really happening here. Not to say that you don't want to declutter, but we want to know why we want to declutter. Are my taxes in those piles? Is there,
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff in those piles that are piling up? Are there clothes that I pray and wish and hope I might fit into, and I'm never going to fit into them again? So it's a bad feeling. So there's piling up in a corner, that one little pile, let's get rid of them, all kinds of things. But the one thing I want to say, Nadine, is if we can be the more functional ones, anybody who's listening, if we can be the more functional ones, we can actually support and help others. Do you know what I'm saying by this?
Yeah, yeah, because you and I both want to be that for people, don't we? To lead the way, if you like, and support. And you're absolutely right. You know, all of the things you said there, there's a little bit of truth in. I've got stuff that I do need to sort out for my own peace of mind, my own mental clarity as well. So there is that kind of thing that I think, yeah, I want to sort those things out for myself as well. So it's there's a lot there. But it is, you're absolutely right. When I think back 2 years ago, before I moved to this house that I'm at now, I lived in lots of places that weren't big and weren't, that sort of, I didn't care. I did have people come, I didn't care about what it looked like, that kind of thing. So again, to get more real with myself and go, what really matters? Am I using it as an excuse? You're absolutely right. And I've got to say, and this is a conversation we've had before, because I don't drink like I used to, that makes a difference. When I would just go, come round, have a drink, who cares? I didn't care so much because I was having a drink and I wasn't even taking any notice. And I'm not saying, I do let myself have a little drink if I want one now. I'm not teetotal, but I'm not going back to the amount of drink that I used to drink that made me not even notice these things. So I'm a different person in so many ways. And my sociability, I want to be different too. I'm going to do things in different ways. So
Right.
it is at that adjustment, isn't it? And working out how I do it. So you're absolutely right. I love that idea. And I have made a note to talk about, this idea that there are a lot of people, loneliness is a big thing. I'm learning that from a lot of the volunteer work that I'm doing now, that loneliness is a killer, actually. It's horrible.
Excellent.
And we don't want that. So to invite people and get over myself and my issues, to actually welcome someone to spend some time with me, maybe, is another way to look at it, because of what I am able to give. And that might sound a bit, oh, who does she think she is? But you touched on it, and it really hit me that, oh my goodness, I'm pushing people away for something that isn't important. And actually to go to let people in, and you're holding your heart now, I'm feeling that.
Yes.
It's part of my receiving and learning, the big lessons that I'm still learning. about, let people in, they're not there to judge and everything. Maybe there is a lot of that. I'm not good enough, my home isn't good enough, but that's rubbish, isn't it? So there's a lot to think about there, isn't there, about what I'm
I mean,
responsible for.
I did live in a big, beautiful home. That ended. I ended up in a small townhouse on the railroad tracks, and so on and so forth. And I did have to do a lot of work about reframing. My sister said, stop calling your place little because it's demeaning it. It's your place, it's your home, etc. I had to do work around that. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get everything that you're saying. I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
But we, more than anyone, being the coaches that we are, know that what I'm saying is true. And my world, I've done this virtually. So, I have a monthly book group that I'm leading now, which I agreed to lead in the area of Qigong study, Eastern medicine study, so that I would do it. So once a month on the something Tuesday of the month, I lead a book group. I don't have to, I'm not in charge of the content, but I send out the Zoom. People come. We know we're going to get together. My friend has a weekly dinner at her house, and her house is not house beautiful, it's house feel good. And people come. They don't care about that. They don't care about the box of shoes that has 47 pairs of shoes in it. They don't care about that. And so on. And various, me, I had groups for years. Every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time zone, that was my group night. So, but doing in person, I get you. I feel it also. And I have this new little house that I'm in right now in Sedona. It's a cute little place. There's a yard. And I want to, before we close, I want to say one thing which I'm going to use. I have a graphic on this and sort of offer it to you as a gift. And that is this: what you focus on, you achieve. I've had this graphic for years. This is work that I've studied, work that I've done. It's one of the ways I support my clients. What you focus on, you achieve. I'll send you the graphic. I post it periodically. And I am here to say, 6 books later, I'm doing my 7th book this year. I have my podcasts. I somehow, by the grace of God above, I ended up buying a small bungalow in Sedona. It's not a fancy Sedona house. I don't have views of the rocks, but still in all, what you focus on, you achieve. And then, if we layer in the mapping or calendaring, I wonder what it would feel like to plan for, a quarterly gathering at your home. It could be monthly. It could just be, like you said, we used to call it cocktails. Well, if we're not using alcohol, you could call it mocktails and games, or you
Yeah,
could just have a game night if you play games, or you could just have a conversation night. Everybody could, put a topic of conversation. There's all kinds of things we could, craft out. But the real question is, time is passing anyway. And
yeah,
now it would appear if we have this conversation 1 year from today,
yeah, yeah,
how many times will I have had people into my home? I get it. I've thought
yeah,
about having a little open house, putting notes in the mailboxes of the strangers on my new street. I've gotten to know one or two with the dog walking, and just having an open house, and just inviting
yeah,
them in and having some cheese and crackers, I guess.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
drink alcohol, as you know, so I'll
yeah,
have
yeah.
lemonade and coffee, I guess.
That's fine.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think that you and I, Nadine, we push ourselves and we are leading in this way. This isn't arrogance. We don't have to say, oh, who am I? Yeah, who am I? I'm one who says yes, and I step
Yeah,
up to
yeah.
lead in this way. So, next week you may voice note me and be like, I thought about that. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
As you're talking, I'm thinking, well, I can do it. I might not want to. I mean, I will do what I want to do, and that's a big difference, isn't it? Maybe I don't want that, to think about it a bit more and actually choose what I want and how I want it to be. that is my right and my choice. So who knows? So I'm giving myself that sort of flexibility, if you like. But I think as well, you've said on your tool here as well, things that you talked about. There's a couple of things that I've highlighted that I haven't done. One of them was created systems. Again, that's more, I see that more as a business thing and that kind of thing, but in my day-to-day life, creating systems, routines, habits, whatever, those I'm still working on. You did something as well, which pointed me at something that I think I'd like to do. And you put 8 hours a week to learn a new skill. And I thought, yeah, I don't think I do that. Maybe I do, I don't know. But consciously to do that, I keep talking, it keeps being a topic of conversation that I'd like to maybe learn sign language and do that. And actually, maybe to do that, that would give me so much pleasure and I would feel proud of myself again. I used to do Makaton, which is children's sign language, when I was a nursery school teacher. And I loved it.
Oh,
So I'm thinking about, maybe to, again, consciously set that time aside and work on something that I'm going to be achieving something. I don't know if that's what I will do, but it gave me that little bit of an idea. So looking at your lovely tool here was really, really wonderful.
so what you're referring to for our listeners and viewers is the tool, which I will create a Google Drive and make a link so that
Yes,
they can access it.
yes,
What you're referring to is on the tool itself, it has a long list of all these things. For example, if you spend just, 3 hours a week learning a new language, that's 12 hours a month times 12 months. By the time passing of a year, you will have done that much. And that's what Nadine is referring to on that tool. There's all these things that I talk about that are commonly held beliefs of things that we want to do.
yeah. Yeah.
What language might you consider? Just out of curiosity, we've never talked about
I don't know. I did feel, as I say, sign language, I really feel, because that's universal. And I do feel, and as I say, because I did Makaton, they call it, which is the children's version. I sort of feel that, and I loved doing that. It's a good way to communicate. So rather than pick, I did think maybe Italian or something. I did French at school and I was rubbish at it, but I did a lot of French when I was in the kitchens cooking because everything was done in French. So I learned a lot through working. But I feel that sign language, I honestly just feel, because it also is, it's quite a skill learning how to communicate with your hands rather than with your voice. And we are both very good at using our voices. So
Yes,
I
love
feel I'm
this.
warming towards that, maybe, who knows. But as I say,
I love that idea that you would relearn the child version of sign language or learn sign language. I love that. And another thing I wanted to point out here is that when I said created the system, I'm big on systems, not just in business, but also in your personal life. Many clients have said to me, your systems have changed my entire life. But when I said to you, well, if you want to have people over and we can somehow break through, my house isn't house beautiful, and I no longer use alcohol to, be oblivious to that, then you immediately began to receive, oh, would I want to have a monthly game night? Would I want to have a quarterly salon in my living room, even with only 3 or 4 people? Would I want to do that? Then you begin to ask yourself in a different way, what is it that I really want?
exactly. That's the thing, thinking about it differently and thinking about it full stop. So I really feel that it's valuable to have a different perspective on it, really. So
Yeah,
that's,
and
again,
yeah, and
what I
without a
feel.
doubt, what you focus on, you achieve.
Exactly.
If you have papers in a pile that you have to get through and you're behind on your taxes because you got all, these masses of piles, or you can't find this or can't find that, then you get into consternation of poor feeling, about all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a whole different thing than just clutter.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
It's what that clutter represents, isn't it? So you're absolutely
exactly.
right. And
Yeah.
I've got to say, because you've said it a couple of times, and I've got to just say it now because I'm very proud of myself, that I did my tax return ages ago. And I'm so pleased because that's something I did used to leave till the last minute. And this year I got ahead of the game. So yay, go me.
Go me. That's exactly right. I suffered with that for years, and
Yeah,
eventually I hired a bookkeeper,
there
and
you
now
go.
I've been working with him for 5 years,
Yeah.
four years. And
It's
now,
finding the way, isn't it? Rather than
right,
letting that weigh heavy. So those are little things again to do.
exactly.
I just thought I'd share that because I hadn't really recognised that one, and I've done it. I've done it. So I love it. There's a couple of other things that you've got on this tool as well, like you say, for people that haven't seen it, but they will see it. You know, things to say about 2-minute breathing stop, morning, noon, and night. You know, this is something we both recommend to our clients all the time. We do as well. We tune into ourselves as well. And that really helps. But what I've also done, because another point that you went is soul serving daily activity. Do that, you know. And I have stepped back into thank you for you offering it, you know, a Qigong practice that I'd let go a little bit, you know, and to do that with a group that I do with you online is so beneficial. And I haven't been doing that for a while. I've been doing that solo. So thank you so much for that. And
Yeah.
sort of, and I've also, again, the universe has provided an opportunity to do some online meditation with someone else leading it. I do meditation myself all the time, but the opportunity came up for someone else to lead it. And it's just been lovely to just give myself up to someone else's profession, their way that they do things. So again, just reminding myself of things that I have done before, but to do a bit more myself. And that really helps from that mindset of just going, I am doing it. I'm doing things that I didn't realize I'm doing, and they're easier than they think they are. So using my time beneficially is the way I look at it. You put on here as well connection with friends and relationships and apologizing to people. I do connect with friends, like you say, not in the way that I used to, but I still do in other ways. And so recognizing that is good. Apologizing and building relationships and everything. I'm not good at apologizing. I don't feel there's much need because I'm so perfect. But forgiving and forgiving myself. I'm going through counselling. I have counselling a lot. And that is a big part that's coming up for me, forgiving others of things, past hurts, things like that. Moving on. Forgiving myself is big as well. So we're working on those. So that reminded me of that. And again, just to recognize another tip, doing that, which is brilliant. And you said about volunteering, do you volunteer and everything? That is my world now. I've stepped into that again. Who knew, the opportunities to be part of organizations that I would never have even known about
Wow.
locally, because they are local to me, but with the cancer sort of emphasis, if you like. So the wonderful Hastings Voluntary Action is a local organisation to me. They're partnered with Macmillan, which most people know about, cancer charity, and I am a cancer support champion with them. So I love that. Again, this is something that's come to me, is taking up my time and my energy, but I'm loving and I'm getting so much from it, I'm also part of the Hastings and Rother Cancer Support Network, which is a big title. But again, it's a local network community that support other people. So that, again, is something I didn't even know about. So I'm doing that as well. And those sort of interactions have led me to running a monthly cancer support group that I'm running because I want to support other people. That's wonderful.
Right.
That is so rewarding. I'm loving that. And I'm
Is that
getting...
in person or online?
That's in person.
In
What is
person.
happening in my world now, Susan, is that it's all being in person. And where my world was all online, it's really the opportunities for smaller, local, in person are presenting themselves. And I'm loving that. So
Right.
it's, there's nothing wrong with
Well,
the online.
we talked about that. We talked about that last year, being more, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I knew about these things. And that's why when you said, I'm not as sociable as I want to be, and I thought to myself,
But I am.
your group and
But I
this and
am.
that. And that's why
Yeah.
later I listened, and then I connected. Oh, I wonder if what you really mean is I want to
Yes.
have people over to my house again.
That's different, isn't it? I'm doing these social things. They're out. They're in different
Oh,
places.
exactly.
And so there is that. And also I feel as well, it's getting that balance when, isn't it? I am doing these things to support other people, because I have, I have those skills. Like you say, we have those coaching skills. We can do that. It's what I want to do, part of my giving back, if you like. But also recognizing that I want some sociable stuff in my life that is not maybe related to cancer, not related to helping people. I heard an expression the other day, which I thought it really resonated with me: compassion fatigue. And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm well aware of I can do that to myself, and getting
Right.
that balance right, making sure I'm doing things for me, just for the joy of it, maybe not to think I have to be serving a big purpose and reaching a goal, So getting that balance right, and again, it's something we talked about before we did this recording, isn't it? About how grief has come into my life again and again and again. I now run a monthly grief cafe, which is again opening up the. I really want people to talk, and I am doing the sociability. I am doing that. I'm getting, helping people with loneliness and that kind of thing, and getting them, well, providing them, facilitating, if you like, a safe space where they can talk and they can open up. And they tell me that all the time. Oh, thank you for providing this. I didn't talk about this before. So the real life connection that, as we know, is so valuable, and so helpful. I love that I'm doing that. But feeling as well, maybe I have stepped away from online big time, but maybe, there could be some places for some online support in that way and that kind of thing. And like you say, in lockdown, we really relied on our Zoom communications. This is how we communicate all the time, isn't it? It's not real life. We do
Yeah,
virtual all the time, but it's still
right.
very rewarding, isn't it? We have
Deep,
that
very
connection.
deep. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really just feeling that, and actually, again, just getting to the end of the year and going, this is what happened. This is what I did. And actually, what I've done is not reach those goals that I thought I would, but I've hit other goals that are maybe more in line. You talk about alignment a lot. I love that. That word keeps coming up for me at the moment. And feeding my soul and nourishing myself by these activities that I didn't even realize that I'd be getting what I'd be getting from them. So yes, my weight goals and all those kind of things have not been achieved again, but
Well,
all the
I
other.
wanted to
Yeah.
I wanted to say about that with your walking the dogs and you're coming and going to these many in-person things. You're getting up, you're going out, you're walking there, you're
Yeah.
seeing people, you're
Mm.
moving your arms, you're sitting down, you're standing up,
Yeah.
so who knows what it would be like if you weren't doing that. Fitness looks in all different kinds of ways. But
Exactly.
I also, the in-person energy is different. You may be
Mm.
experiencing fatigue from in-person energy
Yeah.
in a way that we don't have the same with virtual energy, because the minute I shut my laptop down, I'll be taking the dog out for a walk and finally
Yeah.
settle down somewhere.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so on. And so the thing that's coming up for me as you're saying this is, first of all, wow, you have done so much in spite of having difficulties, long-term side effects of your cancer treatment and so on. And really what you focus on, you achieve. Wow, I've done all of this. It's like rising consciousness, getting
Mm.
out, rising, connecting synapses of what it is that I do want in my life, what I am doing, and no longer, hating or resenting anyone else or hating on myself from what I haven't done, but seeing what I have done and what I want to do. And that's sort of how I am growing forward. Like, I'm growing forward with intention. And
Yeah.
if I don't achieve a goal, it's totally on me. Now,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
totally am aware. I'm working with more and more young professionals, millennials, and they're in a different life stage than we are. They have so many different pressures on them than we do. And
Yeah.
so I'm also very much tuning into that they can't just go for a walk and do this and volunteer and do that and, all the things. So the staging of our lives is very important. It's very
It
precious.
is.
And that, if we're lucky and blessed, then we're in control of the choices that we can make about the activities that we do. And, but without a doubt, even with my young clients, what you focus on, you achieve.
I totally agree with that. So yeah, that is something to always remember. And you're absolutely right. You know, we are at a certain age, and there are blessings that come with that as well. You know, we have more freedom, don't we? We can choose more. We know ourselves better, whether we like it or not, we do, don't we? And I
Yeah,
do feel that, you know, that is a blessing, isn't it? That we are at this stage of life. And I've said many times and in conversations with you, you know, to have my cancer diagnosis when I was older, I'm grateful for. You know, I'm grateful that I could step away from my business and I can come back to it in the way I do. I'm grateful now that I can do all these. I can do these support groups. I'm not looking for the money, you know, that I was chasing in my youth. You know, you know, it was necessary. I had to have that. So
right.
we are, things come when they're meant to, don't they? Whether we get it or not, you know. So I just feel that I'm lucky that I can do, and it's something you've probably said it, and I've heard it from so many people. You know, it's very much rephrasing how you look at things, and it's not I've got to do. It's like I get to do. You know, I've got to walk the dog, or I get to walk the dog. It changes it, and that's a little thing. I shared it in one of my support groups the other day, and someone just was blown away by that. You know, change I've got to, do I get to? It
Right.
does. That's really exactly what we've been talking about here, isn't it? Changing your mindset around what you're doing and how you're doing it and how you use your time makes all the difference, doesn't it? You know, so I love that. I've got to, I get to.
Right. That's a graphic if I ever heard one. So Wayne Dyer said, change the way you look at things and the
Yes,
things you look at change.
right. You're
And
right.
one of my first transformation tips when I really started all of this stuff so many years ago, almost 15 years ago, one of my first transformation tips was change I have to I want to,
Yeah, same
and
thing,
go
isn't
from
it?
resistance
Yes.
to alignment and flow.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I've got to I get to,
Get to.
that's good
Changes your
stuff.
energy, doesn't it? Changes your energy. And so simple. We like the simple things, don't we? So,
Definitely. And
yeah.
you know, I'm working on my next book, and it's all about mindset transformation, and this really is the basis of it. Well, my friend, another amazing conversation. I want to invite people who have been a part of this conversation with us to listen to this again. Take a pen and pad and listen to it a second time and note down things that are important to you, note down things that you noticed, note down things that came to you as part of this conversation, things that you do want, don't want, might do, don't want to do, all the things. Rise in your conscious connection to your own life in a purposeful way. And that is what will bring meaning to your life. And also, my friends, what you focus on, you achieve. Nadine, we have a
So
couple topics for conversations. We're going to get those
we do.
scheduled, and I'll look
We do.
forward to
Yeah.
seeing you again soon.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much.
Okay, friend, take care.